Sorry, my bad.
Hey,
So there is an honest trailer of Manchester by the Sea, and it's basically like starring Sad, Sad, and this is basically like the Japanese version of that movie. Well, not of that movie, but just man, like, okay, I will say first of all, I did like this movie because I do like melancholy movies. And this does basically make this guy like kind of look inward on what he actually liked about his wife. Really, like, why did I really like her? And I don't know if I'd recommend this movie to a lot of people because it's kind of one, the length, the runtime is a little off putting for a lot of people. Um, shut up, Jared. Uh, but I don't know. This was a very weird movie. Just to like, okay, and this is gonna sound weird, but like the poster for it kind of looks like a romantic comedy. Is that just me?
didn't see it.
Because it's
I
like
don't remember
it's
the poster.
well, it's him like in like the girl like he's like sitting like almost like casually against the car, and she's like sitting in the car like in the driver's seat. It's like drive my car. I'm like, this looks like a like almost like a J like romance type thing. So one, like I wasn't really expecting that when I first watched this. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be like this romantic person or whatever, and they're going to meet, and it's going to be a meet cute inside of a car that, because he has to be driven around for some quirky reason. And I'm like, no, this is about, is it even worth going on after the thing that you think that you love is gone? It's like, oh, okay, there's 3 more hours of this. So anyway, um I really did like this movie though, and especially the way it kind of keeps coming back to like the Uncle Vanya stuff when she like his wife pre-records the lines for him to listen to and to act with in the car. I did like that. It's constantly reminding him of his trauma every time that he puts on that tape, but he has to listen to the tape because he has to get his lines right. And I don't know, it's this was a weird movie. I really did like it a lot, but man, it's kind of a, I don't know. It's hard to describe. I'm probably gonna say more once people start doing that or chiming in, but this is a weird movie. Um, let's go with Jared.
Eh, I don't usually throw out compliments very often for movies, but this movie was pretty fantastic. Um, Thomas said it was a long movie, and it is, but I didn't feel the length at all. Like, if anything, I wanted more. And Thomas also said this is a weird movie. I would say this is one of the most down to earth movies I've seen in a long time. Um, I love the fact that this movie is about how your perception of somebody may not be necessarily that person. Um, because he had this view of his wife, like, oh, she did what she did because it helped her along with her career, especially after what happened to their child. But it might just be that she was unfaithful and she just kept doing it because he accepted it. Um, So I love that whole angle of it. I love the limited use of music in this movie. There's barely any, and it was great. When you heard it, it was just it like splashed over you. It was usually like some smooth jazz. It was great. I loved it. Um, and then I loved all the characters. What was funny is like the younger dude. I was like, oh, this young buck getting this lady, and he's like 32. He's like older than me, and I was like, no, that's not fair. He's so attractive. Um, and then the main character, I loved that dude. For some reason, he reminded me of somebody, but I looked it
Joseph
up.
Gordon-Levitt.
Maybe
He looks
I
so
don't
much.
know.
He looks so much like him. His features and the way he.
What?
Yes, so much. I promise you. I was like his eyes and his expression. I was like, oh my gosh, it reminds me so much of Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Sorry.
Really?
Yeah.
But I loved his character. he is very not me. Like seeing your wife with another dude, I'd be like, I'd probably try to kill that dude. But this guy was just like, and I realized that it happened many times before what you see. But even still, I'd just be like, no. After that first time, um, and even he has like conversations with this new guy, and like he's not like just yelling at him; he's just hearing him out. Go ahead,
Did it
Thomas.
shock you? Did it shock you like when like he walks into the apartment and she's like having the affair with the guy? Because
No.
really,
When his flight got canceled and he got the email, I was like, "Oh, this can't. This is going in a bad
Something was
direction
up, yeah.
because it's an
That never
unplanned.
ends well.
It's an unplanned return." So I was like, "Oh god."
Never be in your house when you're not supposed to be. 'cause
Exactly.
that happens.
I also love the little the story she was telling and how you get bits and pieces from everyone. And how and even she's like in the story she's like the girl is returning to be a lamprey eel just mooching off the fish above. I was like, so in her mind she might just be unfaithful and she's actually unhappy in the marriage, and that's her way of saying it to him. I even love the story with the driver, like it's pretty tragic as well. And then I love how he complimented her driving. I was like, man, if someone complimented my driving like that, I'd be pretty happy too. And then I love the. Oh, go ahead.
I was just I like the line that his deaf wife said. She was like, why don't you compliment us actors like that?
And I was gonna say that scene is one of my favorites. It's so real. It's just like someone going to a person's house. He's telling them about his life. I really love that scene. The only gripe I had with this movie is towards the end when the actor is unable to perform again. I don't know why I'm trying to like escape spoilers. Did we say spoilers about everything we talked about?
Go for it.
You did now.
Later on, when the dude gets arrested and they take him to the police station, they're all standing outside and they're like, "We need to talk about the play." And he's like, "Do we have to do that now?" And they're like, "Yes, it has to be right now." And then later in the conversation, they're like, "Oh, we have 2 days until we have to make an official decision." I was like, "You have 2 days. You didn't have to be right now. You could have waited a day."
You gotta prepare, man.
But that was my only gripe. The only thing else I had to say is like my inner weeb was hitting hard because seeing all the locations and stuff, I was like, man, I want to go to Japan. Even just seeing like him walking back from the grocery store, I was like, man, I'd like to go in that grocery store and see what's happening in there. See how different
go to
it
that
is.
7-Eleven.
Exactly. I was like, man. But no, I love this movie. This was a great movie. Kind of want to watch it again, even though it's so long, but highly recommend it. So I will throw it over to Michael.
Hey, I 100% agree with you. I didn't know anything about this movie apart from what Joseph said last time, but I also mix and match things, so I forgot that that's what he was talking about last time. And it got so far, and I was like, wait, the beginning credits are starting now, and I was like, I think Joseph said that because it was so
like
long.
40 minutes into the
the beginning
movie.
credits come in, but yeah, this is a very unique movie in my opinion because I know like for probably and I think it was until the beginning credits hit and the camera went above and it's showing the car like that. We got a little bit of fuzz from Alex actually. Oh, your hand was doing it. You had your hand on there, and then I'm getting a reverb from Jared a little bit. That was weird. Yeah, you were fuzzing, Alex. Anyway, but it was weird because this movie's shots were so simple. Like it was just stationary almost, I'd say 90% of the time it was stationary unless they were in the car. It was rarely moving. It was just like holding the shot and then I feel like this movie wouldn't be even close to as good without the performances because each character, not only that, but it's just the writing of each character because they were so, I found every character interesting. Like, you know, at first you think, oh, this little tool bag wannabe star boy is taking on this cool. We got to mention how cool the main character was. He's just cool. Just
so cool.
Oozes cool, and I'm like, man, I want to be you. But anyway, so at first you're like super against him, but it's such interesting ideas they bring into this movie. like for one, how he does his directing and everything, like his purpose of bringing multi languages into it, and they have all the subtitles on the back screen. I thought that was so interesting, and he has a way, and then they bring in the sign language wife, and I was like, man, it's just such an interesting idea and such a weird way to kind of bring people together in a sense, but it's also, you know, you can see how difficult that'd be. Like whenever most of the people leave, and then they talk about the little reading session, they're like, I'm kind of falling asleep, but I don't understand what's going on. They all kind of start laughing with each other, but
And
yeah,
then the two like main characters, they don't even speak the same language.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
yeah, 'cause she's like what, American and something. I can't remember what her other language was.
Korean?
Yeah, Korean.
Korean, yeah.
But yeah, I just feel like all the what Jared was hinting on, or talking about the that whole arc with which kind of I feel like encompasses the whole movie by the end of it, is, you know, that whole speech he has in the car whenever they're talking about, because the whole time you're like, okay, yeah, you feel bad for him, and then it's like, oh well, there's like, even though she had the affair, there is the two sides of, you didn't hold her up to it. Not that I think she was right in the slightest to do it, but he was like, you didn't hold her up to it at all. Like she wanted this weird. It's a weird, I feel like, attention kind of plea in a sense, but there's more to it than that I can't describe properly. But that whole how he described it anyway, the young guy, and he was saying, you just let it happen, like you didn't care. It's just that whole encompassing, I don't know, this movie has a lot of payoffs that I feel like come throughout the movie. And then going with the and I have to disagree with you, Thomas. No movie is as sad as Manchester by the Sea, man. No movie. This movie at least ends on a happy note. You know, you get the driver,
That's
and
true.
she finally pushes past this trauma she's had with her mom, and this whole, like, I love that line whenever he's like, if I was your dad, I would tell you, no, you didn't do anything wrong, everything's okay, but no, you killed your mom and I killed my wife, and they just deadpan stare through the front of the car. But I don't know, it's a weird movie about just kind of like, you have to deal with stuff, like you just deal with it, and I don't know.
In Manchester by the Sea, those kids are
Oh
still dead.
God. Oh, that movie is it's really well done, but dear Lord, I will never watch that in my entire
That's why I'm
life again.
saying sad.
Ugh,
Sad.
Movies just, like people said, I'm sorry, I'd gone on a tangent, but people said the movie's sad, and I was like, okay, yeah, sad movie, sure. Like, just like, man, good Lord, it's just sad. Anyway, but yeah, but all the character stories, I actually, like Jared was saying, I really like the driver's story, and just like her. Because I mean, you kind of saw, hey, he's gonna take her on. They're kind of building a relationship, but I really, really liked how they built the relationship and how he kind of included her, even though she was like, no, I don't want to intrude. But he brings out their why can't I think of the words for rehearsals? They bring out the rehearsals to the park where she is at the bench, and he's like, we're gonna do it over there. Over there's perfect, right there where she's sitting. And she thanks him for it afterwards, and they kind of like build that rapport and how they talk to each other, and then just opening up in this weird. Because at first I was thinking, oh, he's just gonna go. When I saw the movie started, I was like, oh, it's probably going to be like a weird love movie or something like that. Like Thomas was thinking from the poster.
That's what I thought. Like, I
But-
literally thought it was going to be that. And
Yeah,
then it's
they
this
just
very
Totally
existential,
looks-
like, crisis movie.
It totally looks like an 80s like rom-com,
Oh,
like
the
a Japanese
poster.
80s
That's
rom-com.
what I thought it was. And I'm just like, what am I getting into here? Like, okay.
But yeah, I loved how they built their friendship and like how they just helped each other grow. It wasn't about themselves for either of them. It was about helping each other and pushing forward. And then, oh, good Lord, all the other characters. I really like I said earlier, like I start off with that young guy, and I was like, man, I don't like you at all. You're such a turd. And then it kind of builds into this whole thing of like, he says he came to because he wanted to grow as a person and change. Alex, you're fuzzing a little bit. I don't know, what are you hitting over there? But then it hits that point in the car where you're like, oh, this is gonna be the moment where the main guy, I know what you did, da 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 da, and then you get this long, just deadpan look in the camera from this other guy, and he tells us whole I loved. It's because okay, sorry.
All right, get your
Saying-
thoughts.
I'm saying a lot of
together
words
and,
there.
Real fast,
Asylum,
can I-
and then words.
yeah. Words. Go ahead, Jared.
May I interject real fast? I loved how everyone was pretty, besides like the rehearsals and stuff, pretty calm, pretty like no one was like yelling, no one was having like extreme emotions at all. And so when you get to the end and he finally breaks down and how he's telling her what he would do if he had one more day with his wife, I felt like it enhanced that even a little bit more.
Yeah, because it was very like low tone acting, and then he just that excess of emotion at the end was really good. but yeah, I love it was like when it started. I felt really weird about it. The whole like have sex and then you don't really know what's going on because she's just like telling him the story and everything. And he kind of explains it. I'm like, so what a weird way to bring it around, but then to include that to where like how much of a strike to the poor main guy's heart whenever he said she told me more of the story than you, and it's like I was like, oh my gosh, like that is that hurts a lot. And I was like, good lord, but it's so interesting how they handled it and how he kind of discusses it. And he gets whenever he confronts him with, hey, you should have owned up to it. You should have. I forget because the whole story was because the whole story was she was like something wrong happened here. The girl kept visiting the house over and over again, and then the burglar ends up coming in while she's on the boy's bed, and she ends up killing him. But they pass on. It's almost a commentary on like British or even Japanese are just like keep on keeping on, whatever the heck the saying is, and like that kind of brush on a thing, just don't talk about it, ignore it, and move on. Don't deal with things, and then. So and then story, she comes up and she's like, no, there's something that wrong happened here. The boy's going and playing soccer like nothing changed, whatever sport he played, I can't remember. And then she goes up and tells the freaking camera, I killed him. And I loved that, how it came around and where not that it was good that he killed the guy in the park, whatever, the guy died from his injuries in the park or wherever the heck he was. But he was like, no, I did this and I'm going to fess up to it. And just, I don't know, he's not like an admirable character, but very impactful. I think just how they handle that and everything. I don't know. I could go on about these characters for a while. I thought the characters in the movie were great, and that just kind of held the movie. I don't really get the I feel like Drive My Car. I feel like there's a meaning there, but I can't figure it out. I was trying to think of the end of the movie. I'm like, Drive My Car. Is that?
I do hate that title.
I was trying to think. Is it saying like
Why?
I couldn't tell if it was saying like, hey, lead my life, or if it was like kind of referencing to life, like, hey, I don't want the reins, take control or whatever. I couldn't figure out where the title of unless it's just a simple thing of, hey, drive my car, and that's just the title. But I feel like with how
take the wheel.
I feel like how this movie is set up.
That when we were watching.
Yeah, I feel like how the movie is set up. He has an idea for why he chose that name, and I would really like to look up. I should have looked up, see if he had an interview about it. But anyway, I don't know. I thought this movie was great. I'll probably chip in more about it. It's definitely a movie to chip in. So if you want to knock yourself out. But anyway, I'll pass it off to Alex. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's the one thing I was going to say is I do hate the title. I feel like it's so weak in comparison to the movie. But I'm kind of surprised. I thought that I was going to be the only one that really loved this movie, but I think I've seen 5 of the Oscar noms for Best Picture, and this is like just head and shoulders above the rest. Like it's so good. This movie is the definition of what I was talking about, of having the balls to linger on shots. It's so slow. And it really just lured me into like just like a relaxing state of like, all right, I'm on this journey with these people. And, it's not pop and action, and everything. And it has very strange pacing, but very smooth pacing. Yeah, of course now I'm forgetting everything I was going to say. But I love the main character. I think he's awesome. One thing I was going to say is that I totally get why you would think, like Thomas, you think this movie's sad, but I don't. Like, I think this movie is I think that the main 2 things I got from this movie is, Michael kind of touched on one of them, is that grief and how you need to face it. Either grief of what you did wrong or grief of what people did wrong to you. And how, like he didn't face his grief about her, which in a way caused her grief. But anyway, I liked how that both him and the driver girl faced their grief on that like snow mound thing. And then the other part of it is I literally feel like this movie's about hope. Like even after they talk about that, he says like, we're going to be okay and we're going to move forward. And I think those 2 things are what this movie's kind of about to me, where it's like you pair them together. It's like face your grief, because without facing your grief, there is no hope. You're just going to let it, fester in you, and it's going to be toxic, and you're just going to be stagnant, and, there's no growth kind of thing. But if you face your grief,
it's like Pig all over again.
Yeah, honestly, I kind of got a little bit of the vibes of Pig. But yeah, But yeah, once you do face your grief, then yeah, you can. There's hope in that. So that's kind of what I got from it. Yeah, there was, before I forget, there's the one of the things I didn't like though is that when they're at the park and he just runs off for a second, I'm like, he beat that dude up in like 12 seconds, like like, and came back. He's like, all right, sorry guys, I'm here. I thought that was strange. That whole scene was strange.
The powerful man.
Yeah, because I was like, wait, did he beat him up then? Like I was
I
kind
know.
of
I didn't know if he did it.
Yeah.
then
Maybe he just
or
pushed him down the stairs or
every
something.
time.
No, they said that he was like wailing on him, right? Anyway, but
I think it was a different altercation
You think
because
so?
they mentioned a different location, don't they?
I don't remember.
they said
And
a
he
park
has the
and he
knack for
ran
doing
off.
that because every time they go to the bar, he's like, if anyone takes a picture at him,
Yeah.
Because there's that time where they come out of the bar and then he like leaves for a couple like minutes.
That's the part I'm talking about. Oh, minutes? Maybe.
This is nighttime. Is it that time?
I thought it was the time. Okay, so they come out of the bar.
Yeah.
The
guy takes a
girl
picture in the street.
walks away for a second. Yeah, the guy takes a picture behind him, and then he like kind of runs off after the main guy comes out. The driver girl comes back, and then he's already back. And I think that's when he did it, which I guess
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't necessarily take that long to beat someone up, but it was like literally
Yeah.
like 12 seconds at most. So I thought that was a little strange. And I'm kind of I don't know, and I could totally be convinced the other way, but I don't know if we needed that last scene with her with the car, because I was like, wait, is he dead? Like, where is he?
Yeah,
Like,
that was
did he give
kind of
it to her? Like,
confusing.
I
Yeah.
assume his eye
And
just deteriorated and he gave her the car, is what I thought.
but it hadn't
Maybe.
been that long, and if he's doing the eye drops, they said that should.
Well, how do you know how long it had been?
and she took that.
She
those
looks the
people's
same
dog.
age, which she is Asian. So
That's
they
what I
always look the
thought
same age.
too. That I thought that she took those people's dog in his car, and she's just
She
like
just
taking
killed
it.
She's just.
I
a
think it's a
thief now.
different dog, though, right? 'Cause
It was. That was not the same
Yeah,
dog.
it
That
was
was
a
like a.
different
That was like a.
The other was a golden retriever. That was like a
Yeah, that was
know.
like a Pomeranian
It was a
husky
Shiba.
mix or something.
Yeah.
But
Shiba Inu.
anyway, yeah,
I think golden retriever.
the other
no,
dog
the
was.
first dog.
Other
The
dog.
dog that she
Oh,
liked at the
okay.
house
I was
was.
like, what?
Yeah.
I forgot to mention when I talked about it, that meal looks really good. They eat at the couple's
Yeah, it
That
house.
looks
does.
so
Oh.
good.
I really
So
wanted that
good.
too. Well, when he does kind of break down in the snow, that's what another thing I like about this movie is it feels kind of just honest, where it's like, it's not, like poetic being like, oh, he's so sad about not being there for her when she passed away and he feels so much guilt and it's all just one-sided. But in that scene, he breaks down and he's like, no, if I saw her again, I would yell at her. And then I would also apologize. Like, it just felt very honest. Yeah. And that another thing that I'm just going with my random thoughts. There's no train of thought here, but there's that deaf girl, and it just made me think. I was like, I wonder if there are any deaf plays for deaf people, where it's just like they just do sign language on stage. I was like, that'd be kind of cool.
Sure.
Yeah, I just. Oh, another thing I was gonna say is that this movie, the way it's shot, somewhat. It's not like it, but it somewhat reminds me of like Nomadland in the fact that it's just so slow and just very calm shots. But Nomadland, it's weird because I think it's a good movie, but I don't really like it that much. I think it makes me sad. Nomadland like makes me sad. And this movie doesn't. This movie is, again, I feel like there's a lot of hope in this movie. And but yeah, I did have that comparison in my mind, but they're almost like two sides of the same coin. Yeah. That Korean girl that could speak English.
Oh my
man, she was a
god.
babe.
Holy.
And the deaf lady, she was very
That's
Yeah.
like she's
touching
from
too.
Taiwan.
Was
Oh, it's
she? I don't
Korea.
know.
that
It's-
when she walked in, I was just like, excuse me.
Yeah.
Oh my
She looks
goodness.
familiar too.
Oh
I
my
was like, I
goodness.
think I've seen her off something, but anyway.
Beautiful.
That's pretty much all I have to say. I think it's an absolutely fantastic film.
Yeah.
I have something to say.
Okay.
Who has sexy affairs to classical music. That's when you listen to like Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah, that was a little weird. Yeah,
Are sophisticated, Jared.
9 Inch
Well, okay.
Nails.
Okay. Hey, well, never mind. We can't say the lyrics on here.
Yeah.
What I don't get was like, okay, if you've ever played a record, they don't go on forever and then like repeat. The thing is, you have to like reset the record. It's like, okay, that's great. You're having a sexy affair when the record's playing.
How
Do you just
long
go
do
in
you think
silence
you're
after
banging
that,
Thomas?
or-
Like,
Well, Alex, never mind. I got this thing. But yeah, that was on my mind. I'm like, okay, this is probably like what, a 25-minute record. Okay, well, what happens afterwards.
maybe it was a really, really, really big record and record
Yeah.
player, and it had 6 hours worth of music on that one side.
Or maybe they had a
We're gonna-
jukebox and it just like popped in records one after another. This movie kind of reminded me of like a slice of life anime almost.
Yeah.
Until the end where it's like very dramatic, but a lot of anime is kind of in like that where it gets very dramatic at the end. But
I also liked his sorry to interrupt.
No problem.
His how he kept trying to make them read the text like super plain and drab. And then he's like, you have to act to the text because they can't understand each other. They don't know what's going on. They have to act to what they know is coming because they'll have to like literally know everything perfectly. I was like, what an interesting idea. I thought it was so cool.
And then that girl's like, shouldn't you just let us act? And I was like, what? You listen to that director.
Look how cool this me. Do you see his coat? Look how cool he is. God, I want one of those coats.
Oh God! Oh, the coat.
It
I
was
think it's a
so
coat.
cool.
Oh my God! So when they're sitting on that like those like elevated stairs by the beach or the bay or whatever it is, and then they leave. She's like, all right, let's go. And then they leave and they walk away, and he's just I'm like,
blowing.
oh my God,
Oh
he
my
looks
gosh.
cool.
Can't handle the cool.
they're gonna just start walking around in coats and
Oh my
like
God, I want
98
one.
degree weather in Lubbock.
Oh, God.
But there's wind, so it'll blow it. and
It'll
look
blow and
cool.
it's gonna look awesome.